You know that saying, less is more? I didn't really get that until I came into my 60s. These days, life feels lighter. It feels calmer and happier. And it's not because of what I added to my life, it's because of what I finally quit. I've talked about this before. You can see that video here, 10 things I quit in my 50s that made my 60s happier. But I've realised there are even more things that I've let go of, and they've changed everything. Because since then, life has kept teaching me, and I've kept learning what's worth holding on to and what isn't. So today I want to share 10 more things that I've quit after 60. Habits, expectations, old patterns that have been weighing me down without me realising it. And if you're somewhere on this same journey in midlife or beyond, maybe some of you will resonate with some of this too. So let's get started. The first thing that I've quit after 60 is feeling like I have to always be useful. For most of my life, I measured my worth on what I did for other people, whether I was being productive or helpful or achieving something. But somewhere along the way, I realised that being constantly useful is just exhausting. And being useful is not the same as being valuable. So these days, I give myself permission to rest. Radical, eh? And like chicken licking, I found that the sky did not fall in. I give myself permission to potter, to do things that bring me pleasure without needing to justify them to anyone or to myself. So maybe I'll read a novel in the middle of the afternoon. Or I could sit in the garden with a cup of tea and enjoy the sunshine. Sometimes I even let the day unfold without trying to manage it. And you know what? Not only did life not fall apart, but it's actually become richer, because I finally made the time just to be a human being instead of a human doing all the time. It's rather wonderful and so simple. So that's the first one. And the next one is really quite closely related because it's all about emotional responsibility. This is one that took me years to recognise and even longer to unlearn. And if I'm being absolutely honest, it's only been in the last few years that I've come to realise this. Maybe I'm a slow learner, but I do find it encouraging that we can still learn, that we can still evolve, and we can still become happier by changing our habits. So what is this number 2? Well, I used to take responsibility for everyone else's feelings. If someone was upset, I'd immediately wonder what I'd done wrong or what I could do to make it better. But the truth is, not everything is about me. Shocker. I mean, when you think about it, that's actually quite an egotistical thing to think, isn't it? It's putting yourself in the centre of the universe. That's the exact opposite of what I thought I was doing by putting everybody else's feelings first. That aside, we can't manage other people's emotions for them anyway, and nor should we try. We can be kind, of course, and we can listen, but we can't fix what isn't ours to fix. And in fact, it really isn't fair to try to do so. If we always step in to rescue those that we love, they never learn to solve their own problems, do they? We're actually taking away their agency. So now I try to hold space for people instead of carrying their pain with me. It's not easy, but I'm working on it. Because when we stop trying to control how others feel, we finally have the energy to care for our own emotional world. And that leads me to something else that I've let go of, something that used to quietly eat away at my peace of mind. Number 3 is I've let go of trying to stay relevant. Somewhere along the way, I realised I was working so hard to stay relevant, to keep up with social media trends or new ideas, ways of speaking. I'm still interested, but I'm not pushing myself all the time to keep up. It's as if I thought the worst possible thing that could happen to me is to become, has been, to become invisible to the outside world. And we've talked about invisibility before as well, haven't we? But I've discovered that relevance isn't always being up to date. It's about being real, authentic. Because when you're living truthfully, when you're doing work or creating things that come from who you actually are, that's timeless and far more valuable. These days, I don't chase relevance. I focus on connection. And funnily enough, that's when people seem to relate the most to what I say and do. Speaking of listening to ourselves, that brings me to the next thing I quit, number 4. I've stopped ignoring my body's signals. For years, I pushed through. I pushed through tiredness or pain or stress. I kept going because there was always something that had to be done. But my body has been quietly trying to talk to me for decades. And now I'm learning to listen. I have to. Your body has a way of stopping you if you don't listen. So now if I'm tired, I rest. If I'm anxious, I breathe. Consciously breathe to calm my nervous system. If I'm sore, I'll move gently, I'll stretch. I make time to go out and have a walk, to move my body, because that's what it needs. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? As I said before, I'm a slow learner. Hopefully I'm getting there now. But it does change everything. Because when we stop treating our bodies like machines, we start treating them like well-loved friends. Life feels kinder and we feel better. And perhaps the biggest change for me, the one that's brought me the most peace, is this next one. I've quit trying to be strong all the time. You know, I've always tried to be someone that people could rely on, someone that could fix things, someone who can organise things. I'm not someone who can organise things. That is definitely not one of my skill sets. But I've always tried. Because that's an identity, isn't it, that can feel really empowering, can make you feel useful. Going back to that one. Until it doesn't. Because sometimes trying to be strong all the time just exhausts you, makes you so tired, and nobody realises it because everybody learns to recognise you as the strong one. So these days, I allow myself sometimes to be vulnerable. I actually say, I need help here, to let others carry me for a bit. And I've come to realise that that's not weakness. It's actually strength. It's reciprocity, isn't it? It's trust. And it strengthens your connection with other people because they feel good to be able to help you in the same ways that you've helped them, that maybe you've not allowed them to help you in the past. Strength isn't about holding it all together all the time. It's about knowing when to let go. Once I understood that, life became so much easier, and it became so much easier to trust my instincts. Which brings me to another thing that I've finally quit: second guessing my intuition. Can you relate to any of these? I'd love to know in the comments if you do. I don't know about you, but for so many years, I'd get that gut feeling about something, you know, and then immediately push it to one side or start questioning it. I'd overanalyze, maybe ask other people's opinions, talk myself out of what I already knew instinctively inside. But every single time I ignored my intuition, I ended up thinking, I knew that was going to happen. So these days, when that quiet voice inside speaks, I listen. She knows. The thing is, it doesn't shout. it whispers. So I've learned to slow down, and I've learned to lean into silence for at least part of the day so that I can hear it. And the more I trust it, the stronger that voice becomes. I mean, let's face it, we've spent decades collecting wisdom. We might as well make the most of it. We might as well use it. It's the least we can do. And with learning to trust myself came another big shift. I stopped chasing external validation. Who doesn't love a bit of praise? Gold stars from the teacher at school. Approval, being told that you've done a good job. Gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside, doesn't it? We're only human. But it also can become a trap, can't it? You start living for other people's reactions instead of your own fulfillment. And their reactions become more important to you than your own sense of satisfaction, which leaves you feeling empty in the long run. I've learned that real peace comes from when I like who I am, even if no one's clapping. These days I create, I share, I live from a place of authenticity as far as I can, not performance. And that's when the right people find you. When you stop trying to impress, you start to genuinely connect. And speaking of connection, this next one probably has brought me more of it than I ever expected. I stopped keeping quiet to keep the peace. For years, I bit my tongue, pursed my lips. My kids used to say, oh, her lips are going, they're going, they've gone. I didn't want to upset anyone. I held my words in. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to be too much. But peace that comes from silence isn't real peace, is it? It's suppression. So these days, I do my best to speak up. To speak my truth. I try to speak it kindly, calmly, but clearly. And it's still one that I'm having to work on. 60 years of suppressing it isn't going to go overnight, is it? Sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. But I've found that honest relationships, even slightly messy ones, feel a lot better to me than pretending everything's fine when it isn't. So it's not about being loud, but it's about being true to myself. And being real includes knowing when to let life unfold without forcing it. So number 9, I've quit trying to control the outcome of everything. This is a big one, isn't it? You know, I've always been a planner. I like knowing what's next. I like to have a map, a bit of a roadmap, a plan, a timeline. But life doesn't always follow our plans, does it? What's that saying? If you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. Somewhere here in the middle of my 60s, I finally accepted that I can make all the plans I want to, but life is not necessarily going to go to plan. I still do my best, of course, but I've stopped gripping so tightly to how things should turn out, how I want them to turn out. I've realised that I actually don't have much control. And it's amazing how peaceful life becomes when you stop wrestling with it. When you let go of the outcome, you make room for seeing other paths, for surprises, and for a more peaceful existence all round. And that brings me to the final thing that I've quit in my 60s that's changed everything. Maybe the most freeing thing of all. I've quit the constant striving. It might sound ironic, you know, because these videos are about self-improvement, aren't they? They're about becoming better versions of ourselves. But when I look back, almost everything I've quit comes down to this. Letting go of the need to prove my worth through usefulness, achievement, or control. These days I'm learning that my value doesn't depend on what I do, but it's in who I am. So if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're feeling that tug to simplify, to stop striving and to just start living, but you're worried that that might mean that you're giving up, I just want to say, you're not giving up. You're coming home to yourself. And I know that might sound like a cliche, but like all good cliches, it's based in truth. So those are the things that I've quit after 60 that have changed everything for me, at least for now. Because who knows, maybe there'll be another list in the future as I continue to let go and let go and let go, to quit in the best possible way. But for today, I'm more at ease in my own skin than I've ever been in my life. And that brings me peace. And I hope it does you too. And I'd love to know if any of this resonates with you, or if there are things that you've let go of that just change everything for you. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.